The University of South Africa in the Eastern Cape region believes that shaping young boys to become responsible adults is the right path towards a gender-based violence-free society. The province saw a spate of violent crimes targeted at women and girls in recent months, but it already holds an unenviable track record of violent crimes against women and children. Young boys from 5 local schools participated in the conference, with the university's Women's Forum participating in the proceedings. The promotion of father and son relationships and the nurturing of men's mental health was highlighted as key in the development of capable and conscious men in society. All right, and for more on this conversation, we're now joined by Dr. Vuyokazi Sigaqa of the UNISA Women's Forum, and she joins us now via our video link. Dr. Vuyokazi, thank you so much for your time this evening. Now, you held the men's conference in Mthatha. Let's start off here. What is the significance of this conference?
Thank you, Mbali, and thanks to your viewers at home. We held this conference as UNISA, the University of South Africa, with the intention of capacitating young men in career and family life, thus fighting gender-based violence that is not only ravaging our country or our provinces, the Eastern Cape, but the globe.
And having these conversations in the Eastern Cape, what would you say prompted for this conversation in Mthatha?
First of all, what prompted these conversations in Mthatha is the recent spate of killings that we have witnessed, particularly the killing of women in the rural areas. That has really been a very traumatic situation for us in the Eastern Cape.
How important are these discussions, and for us as a society to play an active role to try and address, the scourge of gender-based violence?
Mbali, these conversations are very important in us shaping the future of the young men, because if you look, the statistics tells us that the perpetrators of these killings, it's young men. Therefore, it means as a society, as the university, we need to make sure that we train our young men so that they do not commit these crimes in our areas.
And a number of those who were in attendance were indeed the young men that you speak of, and young men from various high schools in the Mthatha region. And why is it important to strike them and have direct conversations with young men in our society?
Okay. First of all, Mbali, we believe that in our culture we say, "Bagotjwa bese bacha." There is so much that we can do in terms of empowering our young men not to commit this crime. At the same time, there's a lot that we can do to empower them so that we change their mindset in terms of seeing women, because one other thing that transpired in the conference was that women are seen as the enemy here. That is why there is this gender-based violence. There is the fight between men and women, and yet that is not the case. It's not supposed to be like that. As you are aware that in the ecosystem of life, a man and a woman, they always walk side by side. So as an institution, we want to create the societies that are based on Ubuntu. When we recognize that a man and a woman, they always walk side by side, they need to support one another so that we don't see each other as enemies. Yes, we understand the system has somehow disadvantaged black men, but that doesn't mean they should take out their anger to women that causes gender-based violence, because One American actor, Denzel Washington, says pain in a man is passed from father to son and from son to son. So the sons that we see today, which most of them are the ones that are creating these gender-based violence incidents, as according to what we learn from the records, from SAPS records. So we believe that we should be capacitating these young men in order to break this cycle of pain that is in young men.
And I like the fact that, Dr. Vuyokazi, you touching on father and son conversations, and that's something that unique that was brought upon by this conference, to have fathers and son also present, in this conference. Would you say that the message then becomes a bit more easier if it comes from people that some young boys look up to, which is their fathers, to have these very important conversations with young men?
Yes, Mbali, that is very important. I will always speak about the Eastern Cape, the way that we were raised. Immediately when a boy is born, the expectation is that this boy is going to carry the legacy of that family. But now, particularly after the era of the COVID, we have witnessed so many fathers dying. Now, most of the families, most of the boys, they are raised by their mothers. There are no fathers, but they need role models. So that is why it is important to us as an institution to create those safe spaces where these young men can be allowed to be vulnerable. Because there is that old saying that says, indoda ayikhali. It's one of the things that is contributing directly to the gender-based violence incidences that we see. Because we don't give men that space to be vulnerable when they are hurting, to express themselves. Actually, even when they are happy, the only time that we see men expressing their emotions, it's when they are angry. And our young boys, they grow up with this phenomenon. So we wanted to change the situation. They must be able to open up. The young men must be able, the fathers must be able to say, my boy, I love you. They must be able to hug them. You know, I was taken aback in the conference when one speaker was asking from the audience that how many of you in the room were told by their fathers that they love them. And it was about 10 of them, but in the room there were about 100. To me, it was a pain on its own. But if you look at a mother, you always give those affirmations to say, my boy, I love you. My girl, I love you. So we need to teach our young men love, Ubuntu.
Dr. Vuyokazi, thank you so much for your time this evening. That is Dr. Vuyokazi Sigaqa talking to us there about the UNISA Women's Forum that was held in Mthatha.